Hello, this is Glenn Stout, and this presentation is on how you can keep your personal data secure. Thank you for joining. And here's our agenda for today. First of all, we're trying to figure out what data are we protecting, our best practices for passwords, how bad actors and what you should do. In other words, how do we respond to what a bad actor would do to us? In the topics of social media, social engineering, phishing, and Wi-Fi security. Let's start with what the bad actor is. The bad actor versus you. Now, if you think about it, if you know what the bad actors want to do, a bad actor is anybody that means us harm. So if we know what the bad actors want and what is their goal and what they want you to do, wouldn't you have a better chance on knowing what you should do instead? I would hope that you would, right? So if we know what the bad actors want, what is their goal, and what you want to do instead, I think we have a good chance of doing the right things. Let's start with what data are we actually protecting. You know, people sometimes get caught up in the whole idea of my computer, my phone, my laptop, my this, my that. But if you think about it, what we're really protecting are things like your work or employment accounts, your work email, other data such as that. Your personally identifiable information, which is anything that can deliberately identify you personally, such as your social security number, driver's license, etc. Health information and health records. Anything like online, your online medical portal, let's say, you know, like your hospital might have that for you to log in and check appointments. It might even have some diagnosis or some tests that you've recently taken. Financial accounts, your credit card, your bank, and then any other data such as your like airline award program or hotel award program. This is what we're really protecting at the end of the day. What is the goal of the bad actor, just in general? They're looking to steal your identity. They're looking to file for a credit card or a loan or falsify some kind of tax return or medical record in order to get money. Or just take your credit card and buy stuff, right? At the end of the day, if you look at that in general, it's all about getting your money from you somehow, or money that you could get, such as in a loan. They want you to disclose this information. They want you to provide them ways to get your credentials through phishing emails. We'll cover what that means in a second. Or they want you to dispose of printed data in a non-secure fashion, such as a credit card application. They want you to just throw that out in the regular garbage, for an example, instead of shredding it. So what should we do instead? Overall, we want to just limit the amount of sensitive information that we collect, use, or share in general. We want to store it in only known secure systems. We don't want to keep it any longer than we have to. We want to archive or destroy it when we don't need it any longer. And I always give this example, such as, would you walk down a dark alley with all the money you ever have in the world, like 10,000 bucks or whatever, in cash? No, we only want to keep what we need, what we're willing to kind of put at risk if we had to, right? We want to protect it best we can, but we don't want to put it all out there if we don't have to. Now, how do we secure these sites, all these various sites that we have? Well, here's some best practices for passwords. The first thing we want to talk about, though, is there's this concept of multi-factor authentication or two-step authentication. Sometimes it's called dual-factor authentication. And this might be a spooky word to go, what the heck? What does that mean? Let's talk about it for a second. This is where you can prove who you are with one or more of the following of these four items. It's something you know, like a password, a PIN, an answer to a security question. Something you have, such as a key card, a phone, even a credit card is something you have. Something you are, your picture, your fingerprint scan, eye scan, or someplace you're located, such as where you are in the world or what system that you're using. And here's a couple examples. After you type in your password, and then you know how sometimes you get a code sent to your phone? That is something you know and something you have, right? You know the password, you have the phone. Now, I don't know about where everyone is all across the United States listening to this, but in Illinois anyway, about 5 years ago, you can just go to a gas station and just put a credit card in, and that would be it. That's all you would need to make the sale. Well, now when you put your credit card in many places, you have to type in a zip code, right? So now that is something that you have, and then something that you know, right? You have the card, Even a regular ATM is something you have and something you know, right? Your card and your PIN number. And then in certain websites, it makes you authenticate again, and when it doesn't recognize your computer, it'll say something like, hey, we don't know this computer, log in again, or we'll send you an email to make sure that it's you, right? So the key is that multiple aspects of something have, are, where you're located helps us ensure we know who we're dealing with and to authenticate yourself. With that in mind, think about all the passwords that you use. 56% of people reuse passwords for multiple sites or with personal and corporate apps, and it's not always the best approach, okay? 1 in 7 people would resell their password. 20% of people share passwords with team members, and there's a lot of stats about how companies wouldn't do business if they knew that these practices were being carried out. Although for your personal life, when's the last time you changed your bank password? Is your bank password the same password as something else? If it is, I highly recommend you change at least your bank password. How many sites do you have the same password? Some people say, look, I have 3 passwords and I use it for everything. Well, that's exactly what the bad actor wants you to do. And if one of those is your bank or financial website, make sure you are keeping those unique and be honest with yourself, okay? This is very important to keep those to be separate and not the same thing for a long, long time. Because here's what they want you to do. Now, while some sites won't let you make a password that's equal to a word from the dictionary, they want you to do that. The bad actor wants you to be lazy and use a word equal to a word in the dictionary. They want you to use the same password for multiple accounts, because if they can get into one, then they can get into multiple accounts of yours. They want you to not change your password, especially for your sensitive sites. Or if you do, change it to something where you're just like adding a number to it. Because sometimes the bad actor can maybe not get to the password file, but to the old password file. And if they see, Glenn Stout 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row, and then they go, well, I guess it's the number 5. We'll try that, and bang, that'll work, right? They want you to use information that can be found online about your child, your birth date, adjacent keyboard combinations, or any password on this list of 500 worst passwords of all times. Let's take a minute and tell you why. Why is it? Let's draw out a scenario on why having the same password on multiple accounts is not the best approach. Let's say you sign up for a new bank account and you go, hey, I have a brand new password not used anywhere else. It's the best password that I've ever done. And you sign up, you have your new bank account, and that password is only used in one place. Now, 2 months later, you decide that you're going to buy something at like a kiosk website, grandmascookierecipe.com, whatever it is. And you go, you know what? I think I might go to the site a lot. So when it asks you, hey, do you want to, save this, save your profile for later? You go, yeah, I have this great password I just made up over here with my bank. I'll use that one for my grandmascookierecipe.com profile so they can save my credit card for faster checkout next time. Well, the bank might have great security, but grandmascookierecipe.com might not have the best security. So the bad actor gets into the Grandma's Cookie Recipe area, and they see a combination of your email and a password, and all they're going to do is they're going to check every website on the planet that has bank or any way they can get money, and they're going to check every single one of them. It's as simple as that. Now, if you only used your bank password and bank for the bank, and you made up a new password for Grandma's Cookie Recipe, guess all they can get is Grandma's Cookie Recipe stuff. They're not going to get anything else out of you. They might be able to get access to that one credit card, but those are easily cancelable, et cetera, and so on. So you can stop the spread of any issue if you keep those things separate. Now, it's not the easiest thing to do, but here's what you should do, and here's what you should do instead. For passwords in general, you want to use longer passwords if you can. Every character you can add past the normal standard of 8 adds an exponential layer of security onto your password. A passphrase is something like, I love my kitty, or some kind of short sentence that you can remember, a phrase, a Bible verse, anything along those lines is good. You should use upper and lowercase even if it's not required. You should use a strong password storing application or vault. What is this? Well, this is a application that you would put on your phone, like, again, I cannot necessarily endorse a product, but ones that I know of are like KeyPass or 1Password or Keeper. Even a free one is called Dashlane. Some of these are free. Some of them have, extended features if you pay for it. Anything is better than you writing them down or putting them same password multiple places or putting them on a sticky note on your phone. Those are not all good solutions. You want to get to this concept of using a storage application or vault. And the thing is, it actually integrates with your browser so you can log into the password vault, and that's your one good, great password that you only use it there, and then the system will actually log in for you. It's very, very straightforward once you get a hold of it, and it links to your phone as well. Other things that you might want to do is use two-factor authentication, that multi-factor authentication we talked about earlier, to log in, especially when you log into your financial sites, or to change your password for certain sites. For an example, for my Gmail account, personally, I have it set up where they have to send me a code if I want to change my Google password, for an example. And I'll tell you this, once a month, I get a text on my phone that says, hey, we received your request to change your password. Here's the code. Type in the code and your password will be changed. Well, I didn't do that. Some other guy out there is trying to change my password. I'm getting the code on my phone because it's something something you have. It's what I have in my hand. Since I'm obviously not going to change my password, the bad actor was hoping to be able to change my password. They can't because they didn't get the code that I got, and my Google account is now safe because the bad actor cannot change my password. That's what that's where it helps, the two-factor authentication. Now, I realize it will be an incredible hassle to have that every time you log into everything, but consider it for sites like your 401k, your credit card, and your bank. Okay, some of them mandate it, by the way. Okay, what should we never do is share our passwords with anyone, write them down or store them in an unsecure file that includes, an Excel file even with a password, or somehow on your, sticky note. We don't want to let our browsers to store passwords unless we're using a password manager application. In other words, we don't want to just do it because it's like a haphazard ad hoc situation, because it'll do it automatically if you let it. You want to do it as a deliberate approach using a password application. You should not really use your work email as the email for personal use websites, like your Facebook password or your Facebook email should not be your work email. We don't want you to use public computers like at hotels or libraries to log into a work or a bank account. We don't know how those particular machines are secured. Next topic is how bad actors are attacking us on social media. Now, social media sites are notorious public sources for personal information, and once it's posted, it's impossible for people to take it back, even with the maximum privacy settings. Seemingly innocent information about your interests could be used for identity theft by social engineers. Now, the bad actors want you to share your personal information, your private data, including your birth date and year, your child's full name and birth date, when you're going on vacation, comment when your company is doing business with, so they know who your boss is, perhaps. And they want you to be as public as possible so anyone can see your posts and just not family and friends. The bad actor wants you to be as public as possible. Okay? What you should do instead, only post the information that you write on a banner and put on the side of a building. Set your social media privacy settings to the maximum safe configuration and make sure your children and family members do the same. Don't provide status of your 2-week cruise somewhere post those vacation pictures after you get back, because if you're out there and traveling and you're like, hey, we're on our 3rd day of our 2-week, cruise, that's an opportunity for even just a regular thief to break into your home. You're not home. You want to be aware of third-party applications that integrate from trust, like log in with Facebook, right? You get some sort of app or game or something that says log in with Facebook. And then you go, hey, that sounds like a good idea. But when you click it, it says, we now have access to all of your contacts. And now at the very least, they're going to spam all of your friends to play that same game. Social engineering, what is that? That's when the bad actors love to have the information just handed to them. They want to con you out of the data that they're looking for. And they're counting on trust, fear, politeness, and helpfulness because they know we're nice. They know we're trusting. Or we're, maybe we fear authority or we fear some sort of unknown, right? It's not really a technical vulnerability. So what the bad actor wants you to do, they want to trick you into giving them into your data. They want you to just give them access to it outright, or access so they can get it themselves. So you'll do something stupid, that you'll deviate from your normal established secure procedures, such as they might call you up and ask for your password. Hey, this is Citibank. We're doing a test of our website. We wanted to log in as you to see what your experience is and make sure the website works well for your type of user. You're one of our premier account holders. So, some sort of nonsense to make you give up your information. They want you to respond to a fake email. We'll talk about that later. Tell them secret information just by asking for it, as I just mentioned, or even fall for something called baiting, which is if you in the parking lot find a USB device laying in the parking lot or on the street, they want you to pick it up and go, oh, somebody lost this. I'll see whose it is and plug it into your computer at home or at work. And now malware has been introduced into your system. They want you to fall for internet hoaxes by looking at emails and saying, oh, the troops will be okay if I forward this picture to 1,000 people or whatever. The idea is they want to capture and collect email addresses, or at the very least, download malware when you click the picture to look at something you're supposed to be patriotic or what have you. They want to tell you, and we've all seen this probably, that your computer is infected, and offer you some sort of product to fix it. And there's going to be a phone number there. You'll be able to call them, and they'll take your credit card. But it's something that they have introduced into your system. It's not anything that just kind of happened. So what should we do instead? Well, we want to be skeptical of anything unusual. Always be 100% on guard for this type of attack, and make sure if somebody calls you that you identify who is calling you. Better yet, you initiate the call. Don't give out personal information when someone calls you. The thing to remember is they will act as this is urgent. You need to be vigilant about these types of urgency. Oh my gosh, you got it now. It's really quick. They will make it so it's the most important, quick thing in the world. Even if someone sold your credit card, everybody, it's urgent, but not so urgent where you have to stop everything and, quickly blurt out your social security number. This is Chase, your credit card's been attacked. Can you confirm who you are by telling me your social security number? Oh my gosh, my here's my social security number. That's what they want you to do. They want you to panic and react poorly. Now, if you think of the target of social engineering, just say, hey, your Chase Bank. Okay, I'm going to hang up. I'm going to call you back at the phone number that's on the back of my credit card, okay? Thank you. And they'll go, wait, no, click, and that's it, okay? You want to capture any caller ID information and block these fraud callers and revert bad emails to automatically hit your spam folder in the future, and maybe even call the authorities if it happens again and again. Let's talk about this topic called phishing. Phishing is a email that is sent to you that wants you to do various things, to react to it and click on different links. A phishing email looks kind of like this. Now, they're all going to be different, but the thing that you want, these are kind of little things to look for, such as maybe the date in an odd format, or the return address is kind of odd. Notice this is from PayPal, but the return address is com-secureinformations.biz. Doesn't make a lot of sense. While sometimes it is personalized, a lot of times it says notice to customer, comma. It should get your attention that it's kind of not normal. Within a phishing email, it's generally speaking, you're going to see a threat or a promise. In this case, there's a threat. It says your account is disabled until you do something. Looks like they're doing you a favor. And there's always a link to log into your account to correct the situation. Here's other examples of, you can see the common words that are used. There's a regular activity. Your account is limited. Your account is disabled. In order to regain access to your account, you must verify this account to verify your activity and click here to get back to your account. There's always a click here to get back into it. Now, what happens when you click there? One of two things happens. One is malware can be downloaded onto your system and they can have access to your system for who knows how long. Or when you click on that, it'll open up a page that looks exactly like iTunes or your Bank of America or whatever. It'll look just like it. I'm telling you, you will not know the difference. And it will ask you to type in your name and your password to validate your account. It might even ask you to type in your social security number and date of birth and all this stuff to validate and verify your account. It's going to be a fake page, but you won't know it's fake. It looks exactly like it. So when you type in all this material, then you hit send, and it'll say, thank you, your account has been validated. So you think everything's fine. Meanwhile, the bad actor has an email with all of your information on it. So other examples, if you're really somewhat technically inclined and you really want to look for something, you can move your mouse and hover it over the link. Notice that the little finger is on top of where it says click here, that red arrow. And notice that pops up, that window pops up, and it's supposed to be going to American Express, but really it's going to that pinco.com.br, et cetera, and so on. Of course, don't click on that, but you can at least kind of check it if you wanted to check it that way. Again, the easiest thing to do is simply do not click on any links in any email that you get. Just don't do it. There's no reason for it. Because if you think there is a request that is legitimate, just simply always go to the website directly. In other words, if my bank said, hey, your credit card's been stolen or whatever, all this urgent, crazy information, if that is really the case, well, I'll just open up a browser, go directly to my bank, Citibank, Chase, whatever it is, not clicking the link to get there. And you know how they always have message centers? Every bank credit card site's got a message center. Go to your message center and see if there's really a problem. It's as simple as that. Just don't click the link to get there. Do not open any attachments unless you're sure it's valid. If you get an email or text from a friend or colleague that seems suspicious, simply call them, okay? Pick up the phone and call them. Hello, how you doing? Talk to them. Don't just email back and say, is this really you? Okay, because the bad actor is going to say, yep, it's me. And be wary of any email that threatens your account to be closed to validate account details. It always threatens something or promises something. Let's talk about Wi-Fi. When traveling, people are forced to use networks, mostly Wi-Fi they're not familiar with. Most coffee shop wireless are not encrypted. So the bad actor wants you to do one of two things. Here's what they will do, first of all. They will sit in the back of a Starbucks or a hotel lobby or get a room at the hotel, and they will have equipment and they will set up a rogue Wi-Fi network that looks like the legitimate network. It'll say something like Starbucks Premium instead of just the normal Starbucks, or in a Hilton, it'll say Hilton Fast or Hilton Premium or something along those lines. It'll make you want to click on that one as opposed to the legitimate Wi-Fi network. Now, once you click on the rogue network, if you will, any unencrypted traffic that goes through that will now be in the hands of the bad actor. Now, it'll work. You'll get to the internet. It will work perfectly. However, any traffic is now captured by the bad actor. Or the bad actor is on the rogue network and they have already eavesdropping on it and they're collecting traffic even if you use the legitimate one. So how can we battle against those two things? If available, use your company provided or your personal hotspot. Usually it's connected to your phone or something, it's kind of your personal online access, right? So if you can use that and you have the minutes or whatever, unlimited data or what have you, use that. That's your first thing to always use. You don't ever really want to use the free unsecured networks when you have sensitive information or working with your bank account or whatever. Best use your app on your phone instead of logging into Wi-Fi that you're not familiar with. If you must use a free network for non-sensitive data, you can always use your company or your personal VPN if you have one. There's a lot of personal VPNs out there. I personally use something called NordVPN, but there's plenty of them out there. I've written a blog. If you do a Google search for Halock Stout Spring Break, you'll see an article about how to prepare your personal devices for travel, and it talks about personal VPNs. And what a VPN is, it encrypts all of the traffic that you have going through from your computer to wherever else it's going. And it also disguises where you're logging in from. Second thing here is you want to ensure that you're using the official network. So if there's Starbucks and Starbucks Premium, but you just ask, hey, what's the official network? Oh, it's Starbucks, and avoid Starbucks Premium. And if your browser, sometimes will have a little error message that'll say something like, we cannot identify the domain certificate. If it says something like that, stop using the free Wi-Fi. That means it's not secure at all. We've covered a lot today and a lot of information, and I hope that you learned something from this, and I appreciate any, if there's any questions, you can contact Reform Pension and we can hopefully get an answer for you. Thank you very much.